Carlsbad. People, Purpose, and Impact. An essential podcast for those who live, work, visit, and play in Carlsbad.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. My name is Brett Schanzenbach. I'm the President and CEO of the Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce, and I am your host today. And I'm excited to have with me one of my board members, Mr. AJ Vandeven he's the CEO of Calsense. Good morning, AJ. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Really excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. And I was doing a little background digging, and I know we've had some of these conversations, but I know you're a graduate of Cal State San Marcos, which we'll talk about, but you're originally from Cupertino, California. And I don't know what was the transition that got you from Cupertino to here. Was it just college, or was it before that, or how's that journey? Give us a background.
It's a great question, and something most people probably don't actually know about me. So I did grow up in the Bay Area, as you said. I'm surprised you're actually able to find that. It's pretty cool. And I was going to school up there. I was in high school. I have a sister who's 2 years older, and she got accepted to UCSD to their bioengineering program.
Oh, okay.
And so between sophomore and junior years of high school, my parents said, hey, we have an idea. What if we all move down to San Diego? So we took the opportunity to move down to San Diego, and it actually worked out great for me up in the Bay Area. Kind of a little bit of a troublemaker. And so it gave me an opportunity to kind of reinvent myself and who I was.
Fresh start.
Correct. And I went here to Torrey Pines High School up here in North County. And it was great because I was really into technology. I had done AP Computer Science as a sophomore already up in the Bay Area. And I was able to connect with an IT person on campus at Torrey Pines. And it actually really opened up my eyes into, wow, I really like getting involved and giving back. Nice. To the point where as a senior in high school, I ended up in a program that was designed for teachers called Peer Technology Leader, where teachers were tapped to teach other teachers about technology and how to integrate it in the curriculum. And Mission Federal Credit Union actually gave me a sponsorship as a student to be part of that program and teach teachers how to use Excel and how to use PowerPoint.
Oh, wow.
And this is back in the late 90s, 1999.
Yeah.
And it was just really cool being able to right then and there already start to realize this passion I had for giving back and getting involved in the community.
That's a great story. So then you went to Cal State San Marcos. It was straight out of high school. You went straight to Cal State?
Correct.
Okay. And it looks like, from what I could see, about 2004, graduated with high technology management. Is that right?
That is correct.
Yeah. Very interesting. And I know you're a proud grad of Cal State San Marcos because you're involved in their advisory board or some kind of board there,
Yep.
Which is fantastic. But you've also had a very interesting journey to becoming the CEO. Well, you're more than the CEO, but to becoming the CEO at Calsense. It's not like, Calsense goes back farther than your involvement in it. So it's not one of these like you started it out of your garage or the trunk of your car and it's grown, but you did come in at a certain level and now have gone to great heights. So share that journey, because I think the story is pretty cool.
Absolutely. And it really is a cool story. So when I was in college, Cal State San Marcos, I started out doing computer science because I was really good at computer science.
Yeah.
Turned out I was really bad at math. So 3 tries at calculus later, I realized I need to mature up a little bit. So I decided I was going to get a minor in business. And just as a way to mature up a little bit and move into calculus, and realize business is kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy this. And through the opportunity, I switched to business with a minor in computer science. Actually started a business with one of my college professors, an accounting professor, and kind of moved through that path while I was in college. And it was great because I could apply what I was learning directly into my business, and what I was learning in my business, I could use to better understand what I was learning in school.
That's great.
And graduated college, 5.5-year program. So anybody who's thinks you got to do it in 4 years, you can still be successful if you do it longer. It's totally cool.
That's awesome.
And at basically senior year, I told my parents, they had a great home, but I was like, I want to be out on my own. I want to go out there and I want to get an apartment. And my father said, well, hey, why don't you go get an apartment? But if you're going to get an apartment, you can also cover your own medical benefits. And I very quickly learned how expensive Cobra was through medical benefits, more than my rent for my apartment.
Oh.
So I was venting one of my friends at school. She said, hey, come work for Starbucks. Full medical benefits, part-time employee. And I was like, all right, I'm a graduating senior. I've got my business I'm running. I can handle 24 hours a week at Starbucks. It's fine. So I joined Starbucks and was there for about a year, got to know a lot of the regulars. Obviously, I'm very social. And one day, one of the regulars comes in and hands me a business card instead of a credit card saying, hey, you should come in for an interview sometime. And that turned out to be the former president of Calsense that I took over from. And so I ended up getting a job at Calsense as a junior software engineer. So writing software for our flagship irrigation controller. It helped bring product line, the ET2000E, to market in 2006, which is really exciting, being pretty much fresh out of school and got to be part of actually developing and releasing a brand new product.
That's super cool.
In software engineering, you basically debug people's code for 5 years.
Yeah.
So it was really, really cool. And through the process of the years after doing so, I started to get more involved in other aspects of the business. I mean, my original thought was, hey, what you do in software engineering, you get a job, 3 years later, you go somewhere else, you make $10,000 more, and then 3 years later, $10,000 more, and you just bounce until you finally retire.
Yeah.
And the company, there's something intrinsic in it that I just fell in love with and be involved in every aspect. So I found out in 2014 that the president had tapped me to take over for him when he retired. And at the time, he said 3 to 5 years later. And 18 months later, he retired.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, wow, okay, well, let's go ahead first.
Yeah.
And right before he retired, I really had an epiphany. Hey, I've been writing software, how to manage weather-based irrigation, work with sensors. I actually know nothing about water. And so use the opportunity to really start to learn more about water, including a program at Cal State San Marcos and the Citizens Water Academy through the San Diego County Water Authority, and just learning all aspects of water. And about 2 months in, I had this epiphany about how big a difference we make as an organization conserving water for all the entities we work with across the country. And kind of just completely changed my view of Calsense and what we do and why we do what we do.
Yeah.
And tried to change the message, change the narrative. I didn't want to sell a widget that turned sprinklers on and off.
Yeah.
I wanted to provide a solution that made a difference conserving water, throughout the planet.
Yeah.
And so we did that. And, you talked a little bit earlier, you alluded to, more than being a CEO. And in 2017, I was given, a few stock options, somewhat of a carrot to try to get me to grow. And I worked with the founder at the time, who is still a majority shareholder, to encourage him to let me buy in more shares. And over the course of the last 5 years, between retirement and COVID hitting and all the uncertainty regarding COVID, for the ownership that we had, that ownership has now all moved on. And so I now own Calsense as well, which is a really exciting story. That's for me, story. Going from Cal State San Marcos, computer science into business, and now actually running and owning a business that's making such an enormous impact for the planet, it feels amazing to me.
And another piece of that story that I really love is it showcases it was your interactions at Starbucks that first opened this door. So how you approached that that position, whether it was a barista or whatever, how you approached that had long-term positive, repercussions in your life. So it's to everybody who's out there, and I've heard these kind of stories before. I remember one of my former board members who was running a branch of a local bank here. She got her first opportunity because she was I think it was Taco Bell drive-through type of thing, but she had that great attitude of service that led to somebody saying, I want you to work for me. And that's just phenomenal.
Well, and there's another aspect to it, which is the fact that back then, I didn't understand what networking was.
Sure.
They talked about it in the business program, but all right, networking is just partying with people. That's networking, right? But realizing through that experience, every interaction you have with a person can be impactful, whether that's to that person or to you. And it's really, I look at it as every time that you're engaging with somebody is an opportunity to either further yourself or further that person, or just have somebody smile. I remember so many cases where people would walk into the store and they'd have a frown on their face, and just the fact that you greet them nicely, get their drink perfect, give them a smile. A lot of those people left in a better mood. Yeah, and to me, I'm like, well, hey, I just either helped that person's day, or I helped the next person down the line that this person was going to talk to very negatively. Maybe they're not going to be quite as negative, and I've now made a difference. And it was always those little things that made me feel like I was making a difference. But now being able to say, wow, we actually make a difference is so cool.
Yeah. Positive ripple effects. So you already talked about it a little bit, but let's specifically spell out for everybody what Calsense actually does for all your amazing clients.
Absolutely. So Calsense is a company we were founded back in 1986 with the goal to conserve water. Water is one of the only things on this planet that we can't make more of. Every drop of water that's on the planet today has pretty much been here for all time. And so what we do is we create and provide smart irrigation solutions that use real-time weather information and in-ground sensors and satellite imagery and all sorts of different inputs to help people use the water that they need for their landscape as efficiently as possible. So we want to make sure that we're not overwatering. We want to make sure that we don't have runoff. For example, you drive down the street and the road is wet. Well, our system protects against that. It helps walk you through the programming process to ensure that doesn't happen. And even things like leaks, a lot of systems out there, you got your landscaper, they roll over a sprinkler head and you turn on the sprinklers to get this geyser. Well, your sprinklers typically turn on in the middle of the night. You don't realize it, and you may not realize it for days or weeks or months. Our system detects it within 20 seconds. It lets you know via text message that, hey, you've got a problem. This is the location. It's this park. It's this valve. Send a person out there in the morning, and it shuts down that particular valve, but continues to water the rest of the system. And
that's amazing.
That the savings that can achieve is almost immeasurable because those geysers could be running, for a larger system, 50, 100 gallons per minute for 20 minutes straight, and that's just every day, day in and day out. It's complete waste.
That is fantastic. So we are actually going to take a brief pause. We're talking with AJ Vandeven, the CEO and owner of Calsense. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some really cool innovations that they've done in this past year to expand their business. And we will be right back. So AJ, you were sharing with us your system and what you guys do. And one of the things that I can hear, and obviously you and I have talked before, and so I know your clients can be fairly large businesses or municipalities. So why don't you tell us who some of the typical clients that you guys service are?
Absolutely. Our main customer base are government entities. So as you mentioned, municipalities, schools, districts, higher education, departments of transportation like Caltrans and things like that. And we do a lot of those. I mean, here, City of Carlsbad, we've been here for over 30 years working with the Parks Department and partly working with the Streets Department, work with City of Encinitas, we work with City of Poway, we work with Cal State San Marcos, San Diego State. And those are just some of the local. But we are nationwide. We do the Smithsonian National Zoo and the DC National Mall. We don't do the grass, but we do everything around the grass.
Nice.
We're down on the southern tip of Florida, down in Naples, Collier County. We have a great relationship with UT Austin out in Texas. We're actually working with them to identify how we can integrate with their drones, which will fly over and basically using NDVI footage, understand how green the plant material is. Wow. So they can programmatically adjust up or down based on that. Wow. We also do, besides our core market, we do, some other markets, some that are a little more fun than others. We do HOAs, master plan communities. Some of my favorite jobs are some of the theme parks that we do.
Nice.
So we do Disneyland and SeaWorld, Six Flags Magic Mountain, which is so cool because, I take my kids to theme parks and I get to be like, hey, all this greenery, all these flowers, all this beauty, we help maintain that. Yeah. And so it's something that they can visualize and really understand.
And with your system, because it's so intelligent and, it can really help, like you said, isolate leaks and detect problems. So ergo saving money to these clients. But it sounds like very large scale. So it can be kind of pricey for a brand new client that doesn't have you yet to bring you on board. But you guys came up with a really cool, innovative approach this year to help overcome that. So let's say the the city of, I don't know, Lemon Grove wants to bring you in all their parks. I'm just making this up, but so they don't get sticker shock. Talk about what you guys came up with.
Absolutely. And you're right. We provide a premium product and premium support. We've got factory direct people throughout the country that are there to help on site, train and troubleshoot and things like that. But it does come at a premier price point.
Yeah.
And to your point, this year we released what we're calling Irrigation Management as a Service. And really the intent behind this program is to make this, this intelligent technology that leverages artificial intelligence and machine learning and analytics available to those entities that don't have the capital resources in order to make those big investments. A lot of times what we run into is, two types of customers that buy our product. One is they actually have to go to, say, city council and get a bond approved to do a massive expenditure. Or what they do is they'll say, we need 100 irrigation controllers to cover our entire city. We're going to buy 10 controllers a year for 10 years until we're fully built out.
Try and make it affordable for themselves.
Correct. Yeah. And while it's a great approach, the challenge becomes you're not realizing the actual savings and conservation that you could achieve if you were able to get all of that upfront.
Yeah.
So our new platform is basically a subscription model. Nice. Where our customers can get the entire order all up front and they pay for it over time. And so they, just like an Office 365 subscription or your Netflix subscription,
yep,
you basically just pay incrementally. And what we've also done throughout this program is, besides just offering the hardware and software as a service, we're now offering other types of services as well. So generally a city would either install their own product, they'd hire a contractor. And many of these contractors are phenomenal, but there's turnover in the contracting world. And so if you're not trained how to wire things up or how to program the product, you can start to run into some challenges where it's not programmed optimally. So we now offer installation services. We offer kind of after the fact services where we monitor and we notify you of things that we see that maybe could be done more efficiently, to let you know what you can do to make a bigger difference, save more money, whatever it may be. And so all of that is encompassed, and it's a la carte. So if you just want the hardware, software, great. If you just want the services, that's awesome too. If you want the whole package, we can slice it and dice it, whatever the entity needs, based on what their capacity is to be able to do their own work or needing assistance. And it's been a phenomenal program that's taken off in a way that we never expected.
Yeah.
We were obviously very optimistic that we'd see a difference, but we didn't realize how many entities out there had been struggling with the need for a product like ours, except there was no way for them to get the money
to afford it.
And now all of a sudden they have that capability, and it's just completely taken off for us.
Oh, that's fantastic. So it's Netflix for irrigation management.
Yes.
I love it. No, that's wonderful because, I know you're a business person, so you want to grow and, make profit and all that, but you're also passionate about what savings, environmentally that you're bringing to the planet and to these companies. And so you've just opened up channels for that to grow.
Exactly.
Which is fantastic. You said it earlier in the interview, but I want to highlight it because I think it speaks to you as a person, but to your whole company culture. You are very community involved. I mentioned that you're on the board here at the Chamber, but also at Cal State San Marcos. I know you have other passion projects like Eco Life. And I believe you guys are still the big kahunas at the Agua Hedionda Lagoon cleanup each year.
That is true. We lost in 2021 to Bitch and Sauce. Mm-hmm. And hey, more power to them. Our team showed up. It was still in the midst of COVID. We made a statement saying, hey, our production team can't go because we don't want to expose them. We need to keep manufacturing. And so all the people that showed up hadn't seen each other a year and a half.
Yeah.
So they came to play, which is great.
Yeah.
I believe in playing to win.
Yeah.
So I made sure when we met back this year, we did get our third win. Very excited about that. So thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, no, it's
an amazing event, and it's awesome to be able to get back to the local community.
It's great, that you care. For those who don't know, what they're winning is like an honorary title, but basically it's like you guys were the winners of the best cleanup for the lagoon, which is fantastic,
Great.
So it's fun to win, but what it's really speaks to is the service that you guys do and engage in. So, and talk about why in being engaged in the community is important to you.
Absolutely. And I couldn't actually tell you where this came from, but very early on, I had this belief that once you achieve a certain point in your career, it's your responsibility to help provide opportunities, pull people up behind you, make sure that you're basically building a succession plan for you and your organization. And as I've grown, I started to realize it's more than just me as an individual. As I grow, yes, I want to make sure that I'm pulling people up within the organization, but also how can I start to take what I've learned over the years and help prepare other people so that they don't have to go through some of the same struggles. And so that started with some mentoring, mentoring students at Cal State San Marcos and San Diego State, and evolved into understanding, this is great, but it's really one-on-one. What can I do to broaden that impact? And I was introduced to the chamber through Kathleen.
Yes.
Kathleen McNary, who's amazing, and got involved here and really just started to branch out from there. What was I passionate about locally that I can make a difference on? And now, to your point, it's become part of our internal culture. We as an organization have now grown to the point where we give back as an organization, and we sponsor chamber events and we sponsor events for the Carlsbad Educational Foundation.
Yes.
And just knowing that we are helping our local community as an organization individually has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
And even to the point where we've had many conversations with our remote employees throughout the United States. What are your passions?
Nice.
What are the organizations that you want to be part of, that we can be part of, that make a difference?
Yeah.
And we are a little picky and choosy. What we try to do is try to find people who align with our core values. And those core values could be, trying to make sure that we are, doing the best we can to support one another, or that we are being stewards of our environment. And, so as long as we see that alignment, we're trying to find ways to give back. And every nonprofit needs time, treasure, talent.
That's true.
And we can provide all three at certain levels. And it's just amazing to be at that point now in my career and in our growth path with Calsense to be able to provide that within the local communities that we serve.
That's excellent. Well, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that you have a couple of really cute daughters. And the big question is, are they allowed to touch your Lego collection or not?
So it's a daughter and a son.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're good. But yes, so I have a 8-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old son. And to your point, I have a pretty substantial Lego collection.
Massive.
Yes, I have, I call it my build room. So I have all Lego sorted by color and piece type into tackle boxes. And I've got a stand-up desk in there with dual monitors so I can pull up PDFs and instructions. And I've kind of gone all out. So I am not like Lord Business, for those of you who have seen the Lego movie.
Yes.
My kids are allowed to touch and interact with, build, play with the Lego that I build.
Nice.
However, they're not allowed to mix it with their Lego.
Okay.
So that is my only challenge, because I want to be able to rebuild some of these larger sets, and I don't want to get at a point where I'm missing a piece. I organize them specifically so I never lose a piece. And they are not quite at that point yet.
Yeah.
They've got their they try to sort by color, but it doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty great, because having a hobby like that where I can actually spend money on something that helps me relax, gives me happiness, that my kids can also enjoy, is fantastic. A lot of people that I know, they like to go out and drink, they smoke cigars, they fancy cars, whatever it may be. And those are great habits, also expensive, not unlike Lego. But you can't share them with your kids until your kids are older.
Yeah.
And so this is something that, Lego is so ingrained in my children at this point that, they have such passion for it, and it's so cool to see that.
That's fun. Super fun. Well, thank you for taking the time to come down. And one of the beauties of podcasts is these episodes go all over the place. So let's say some municipality in Palm Springs or in Florida, for that matter, hears this episode and is like, hey, we should get in touch with Calsense. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you guys?
Absolutely. Our website has all our contact information, just calsense.com. You can also just call us directly at 760-438-0525, and we'll get you in touch with your local sales rep and start talking about what your needs are, what your challenges are, and how the product and solutions that we offer can help take care of all those for you.
Beautiful. Calsense is Calsense.
That is correct.
Calsense.com. They can come and find out all they need to know. Thank you for taking the time to come down and share with us today.
This is incredible. I really appreciate the time, Brett. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us on our Carlsbad People, Purpose, and Impact podcast today. If you enjoyed it, please hit the follow button on wherever you get your audio. And please tell a friend. We would love to hear your feedback, which you can share at carlsbadpodcast.com. You can leave us a review, ask a question, or leave an audio comment, which we can play on the show in the future. And that's all we have for today. Can't wait to see you next time on Carlsbad People, Purpose, and Impact. And remember, share some kindness today. It's free, creates goodwill, and makes you feel great.